Hey everyone, Action here. In this video we'll be transitioning from the early to the mid-game economy whilst also fighting a war against an overwhelmingly powerful AI empire. I'll be showing you some of my decisions, including tradition choices, when to build certain kilo structures, planetary management, ship designs and much more. We are gonna start right at the end of our previous video. If you have already watched it, you can skip ahead to this timestamp. High Command calls out for 5,000 commanders to replenish our ranks after the recent losses. Our navy needs you, commander, to help us fight the countless enemies that threatens our own existence. Enlist today and be a part of something greater. Right now we have Bio Ascended finally using the Purity tradition, and what we're gonna do next is skyrocket all of our technology output using the job efficiency we now have. If you look at our planets, you can see that although we only have 440 biologists, their efficiency multiplies this number and they actually account as 836, so almost double the amount of pops working. That only tends to increase later on into the game, since we will be upgrading our medical center building, and this building actually provides you with more job efficiency the higher its tier. All of this is done because we have the mutagenic habitability and also the tradition perk that boosts our job efficiency for every point of habitability above the 100%, up to obviously a maximum of 200% habitability. Here on our capital world we have a base of 50 and plus 30 plus 10 and plus 10, so 100% habitability. This can actually be increased if we picked more habitability bonuses. However, another thing that is greatly improving our job efficiency is our government authority. Now, what the eugenic hierarchy does is our job efficiency is increased by 2.5% for every point that we have spent on our species traits, and decreased by the same amount for every negative point that we have acquired from our traits. And if you look at this, we have loads and loads of traits. Due to our mutagenic habitability and also the robust trait, we can actually settle in all planets in the game, and we have an 80% habitability on them. Though not the 100%, however, it's still a pretty high number. Now that we have researched the clone vets technology, we can build them across all of our planets. Of course, we'll have some unemployment due to our buildings being replaced, but that is not an issue at this point in the game. And we actually found a pre-FTL civilization, which is huge since they would allow us to have the insights for very OP technologies. And the assembly of Ulfon, those little molluscoids, they really don't like us. They're even harming our relations for some reason, and they are building a starbase here on the Dyphlon system. That is a little bit scary because this will increase the bonded friction with them, and as such they're most likely gonna attack us. So what we can do is start building up some defense platforms in our starbase. In the early game you're gonna go with this design, which is mostly comprised of energy weapons and more shields. Hopefully it will take care of them, but I don't know if 8 of these bad boys are gonna be enough. Although we have the necessary unity to pick another tradition and start another tree, we are not gonna do that. Instead, we're gonna focus on improving our economy, because we already have very good traditions that are improving our overall empire, and however, our main goal right now is to build more arc furnaces to improve our alloy and mineral production. One thing that I don't know if you already know that, but by hovering over the systems, you can actually see how many arc furnace deposit sites there are. So ideally, you wanna go for systems above 20 deposits. If they don't exist in our empire, you can look for 18, 19, it is a good size. But here we have only a size 2 deposit, so pretty bad the system. In the beginning of the game, you only have the option to build 3 arc furnaces, unless you started with the arc furnace origin. So here we already found our 2 systems that we're gonna be building another one. Here on Mirs we can build 20 deposits, and on Tikim we can build 20 deposits as well. So very good systems to have. I think that the best system I ever gotten was a size 22, but I don't even know if that's possible to have more than that. Let me know in the comments what your guys' best past was. Although we are spending a lot of unity in building more megastructures, we still have a surplus that is big enough so we can pick another tradition, and it will still leave around 7,000 remaining. This time we are gonna go for a very weird tradition, adaptability. It is perhaps the first time I'm picking it, but I'm gonna test things out. The reason here is very simple. First, we will have plus 10% adaptability on all planets, which means that due to our mutagenic adaptability, if we surpass the 100%, we'll actually gain more job efficiency from this. As a matter of fact, this trait alone is gonna give us plus 2.5% job efficiency, which is something kinda equals with the prosperity that gives us plus 5% resources from specialists, because this job efficiency applies not only to specialists but to workers, and in my opinion, job efficiency is a lot better than resource output. Another good thing about this tradition is the adaptive ecology, increasing our district limits by +1, which is very good, and the finisher effect is also massive. We will have designation bonuses for our planets, and what it does is you actually have more research, more unity, everything more for the planets that you ascend. And later on into the game, our plan is to ascend all of our planets, so this makes perfect sense with our build. And another thing that I forgot to mention is the agenda, that when launched we'll get plus 20% habitability, which means plus 5% job efficiency in the worlds that we are above 100%. Here we have our 8 defensive platforms just ready to defend our borders. However, they are quite weak, only 400 fleet power each. We are currently building up a starhold here, so perhaps we'll have a better foothold in the system. Now we have created the observational post on the Camfrint system, and what we can do is actually change our approach for the observation insights to favored insights. Obviously it's gonna reduce the amount of research we gain, but it's gonna reduce by just 2 society, which is irrelevant. We established the colony on lowland as well, and lowland is gonna be our main source of raw materials, because look at all of the basic districts it has, very good world, size 13, so if we were to build city districts we wouldn't be very efficient with that. So perhaps this world can fill up all of our basic resource needs. Later on, we also have a matter decompressor here. We got very lucky in the start of the game, so we can repair it and have tons and tons of minerals. So as always, our setups for the colonies is to build a clone vat and also a medical center and the genomic research facility once we have the minerals. We got our 3rd civic from the Galactic Administration, so let's reform our government. We'll keep the Byzantine bureaucracy because the stability it is providing is very much needed, and also the unity boost is very welcome. And we're also gonna pick the Masterful Crafter civic because this will improve our artisan efficiency since they will be producing more base consumer goods and also a little bit of trade. And as you may know, when you specialize your planets a lot, you're gonna start having the planetary deficits just like we have here. And this deficit, my friends, in the later stages of the game can actually be quite huge. Our ships also cost trade, so we need to have a trade source somewhere, otherwise our empire is not gonna function. And for that, the Masterful Crafters can kinda solve this problem, at least for the time being. And the Assembly of Wilfon already started claiming some systems, just as expected. Thankfully, we built up all the defensive platforms on our system. However, I don't know if that's gonna be enough. Now our technology output is slowly increasing. We are currently above the 1000 mark. However, I'm really scared about the Assembly of Wulfon. Perhaps we need to build up some destroyers so we can have a better chance at defending ourselves. Here on the Adumir system, we already created a starbase with a shipyard, so we can start reinforcing our choke point in no time. Bubbles, welcome! She's gonna help us out defending our planets against the crazy molluscoids. We do have a little problem here, which is our consumer good production. Yeah, we are currently losing 160, not optimal. So I think that here on Glaertia we are gonna make another consumer goods world, since otherwise our empire is gonna bankrupt. Now this technology is huge, targeted gene expressions. This makes it possible to have the vocational genomics, which is insane because the vocational genomics basically means that we can just pick the auto-modding traits and our species will adapt to whatever job they are working. Hello Commander, if you're enjoying my content, please consider being a part of our higher ranks and financially supporting the growth of our navy. Depending on your contribution, you'll have access to different sections of our military, being able to command an entire fleet and up to a whole sector in our live streams. That will happen almost every weekend. With every contribution, the Empire grows stronger and you, Commander, will help us shape the future of our universe. Oh, they declare war on us. Just as I was expecting. Thankfully, we built up a destroyer fleet comprised of only these guys. They are not very strong, however, they are some mid shields for our starbase. I don't think they have the firepower to take us out, to be honest, but we'll have to see. We can kinda have an idea based on the diplomatic weight. They have a base of 1500, whereas we have a base of 900, but most of our base comes from pops, and they should have at least, yeah. Oh boy. How was I wrong? They have 22,000 fleet power, and our poor starbase only has 11. I don't know. Things are not looking good for this engagement. Well, the reason is I think they already have cruisers, so yeah, perhaps that's the reason they are so strong. So what we can try doing is activating some edicts. However, I don't think it's gonna change the outcome that much, to be honest. Yeah. We just gotta hope our fleet here does some miracles. But to be honest, if we take out enough of their fleets, we can even reinforce ourselves using another shipyard, and we can come back to this fight. So they completely annihilated our starbase. I think they have tons and tons of frigates. Yeah, the space torpedoes did most of the damage, but they got even more war exhaustion than we did. So that's okay. I guess we should probably build up some cruisers for ourselves. Since they have frigates, ideally we wanna run with strike crafts and some point defenses to counter their missiles, but our main goal is to be faster than them, this way they can never fire at us. One way to counter the space torpedoes is also having the armor points in our defensive slots, because they ignore shields but do not ignore armor. Our economy at this point is pretty much stabilized, we have a massive amount of alloy outcome, and also our technology has greatly improved to a little more than 2000. Thanks to our counselor being so high level, we already have 84% research speed, although we only have 2 scientists working there. We finished up the adaptability tradition, meaning that all of our planets will have an extra designation bonuses, and for our next ascension perk, it is very fitting since we are at war to pick the galactic force projection. This is incredibly good in my opinion, because later on it will increase our fleet command limit, and as you can see, we have tons and tons of bonuses that level up our leaders really quickly. The main ones comes from our agendas that we can launch pretty quickly, and every time we launch it they gain EXP. So later on into the game, we'll have lots of admirals with pretty high levels, and ideally we wanna field them in the biggest fleets possible. We also are gonna pick the supremacy tradition, which is gonna improve our fleet command limit a little bit more. One of our scientists already reached the level 10, and we are still at 56 years into the game, just so you know how absurd purity tradition is. And the birth of the galactic community, fantastic. We should first start off by proposing the greater good resolutions, so we can have the balance in the middle, reducing our empire size from pops by minus 10%. Now we have built up enough cruisers that have 7.5 thousand fleet power, and we've combined them with bubbles that has 500. I think we can take them out, at least one fleet at a time. Oh, they wanna settle a peace offer? How pathetic. Of course not, my friend. We are gonna destroy you. Let's wait for our starbase to tank their first volley. Fantastic, and now we engage them. This should be a pretty win for us. Strike crafts are doing the damage, whilst we stay at long range. So they retreated, only lost 2 corvettes. They have another fleet coming in, and they have only 5 frigates, the rest of them are corvettes, so not really a threat for our cruisers. As you can see here, all of our point defenses are destroying their missiles, Some missiles are still passing through because they have so many of them. But yeah, just look at how pathetic their missile damage was, only 930, we destroyed 163 missiles. That's how powerful counter designs are. And Bubbles, no, Bubbles! Bubbles is engaging by herself, and 25 days for FTL retreat. No, we need to hurry. Alright, Bubbles escaped, thankfully. We could lose the war, but we could not lose Bubbles. What was more important? Well, since we are at war, it is pretty fitting for us to pick the Supremacy tradition to give us some little bit of bonuses towards our military. Right now, our enemies are about to jump. There they are, and let's see the damage we can dish out before they fire those deadly space torpedoes. Alright, things are looking good still, however they are getting very close to us. That is quite dangerous. They disengaged, thankfully. 0 space torpedoes hit our vessels, and only about, what, 5 nuclear missiles, only 40 damage dealt. And Bubbles recovered, she is full HP, fantastic. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna use her to conquer some unoccupied systems, whilst our main fleet take care of these systems there. We'll also build up another fleet that this time we're not gonna use a Turian, we do not wanna lose him, he has a lot of good bonuses for us. What about we hire Zidlar, a leader that has the fleet organizer trait, which is gonna increase our naval cap a little bit. Another small space battle win for us. This time Zildlar won the battle. And we have run out of agendas. 2 of our counselors are already at level 10. So purely tradition, yeah, you can kinda level up your leaders pretty quickly. We are still 60 years into the game, and look at how many levels all of them have. It is not gonna take long before every one of our counselors is at level 10. Oh, they are insulting us just because we are getting back our territory. What a pitiful species. We only need to reconquer one of our lost systems, and then we're gonna settle status quo. Because I have no intention in actually imposing our ideology to them, since as a matter of fact, we pretty much ignore their existence. Bubbles is joining in on the fight just to have some fun for herself and take up some damage, I guess. Poor Bubbles. But yeah, this was the system we reconquered. Now let's settle status quo. And there we have it. Literally nothing changed in this war. But that was because we had a powerful economy. So we literally built up our fleet whilst they were attacking us. So we are gonna stop this video right here, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, don't forget to leave that like button, because it helps me out a little bit. And as always, I will see you guys next time.